Well, hello there. You've gone behind the buzz, a Public Fit Theatre Company's occasional podcast where we chat about the myriad processes that go into the creating of our season of plays and stage readings. And this is a surprise bonus special episode with me, producing director Joe Kucan and artistic director Anne-Marie Pereth.
Hi there.
And today we're going to preview the 7 shows that will compose our upcoming season number 11. Company manager Brandi Blackman has once again come down from on high to keep us on task and to help us discuss all the events that APF has in store for 2024/25. But to start things off, Anne-Marie, you want to do a quick post-mortem on last season? How do you feel about last year's work, number 10?
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of last season.
Yeah.
In terms of our opening main stage show, Indecent, which was the project that the three of us actually worked on, I would say it was our most difficult production that we've ever produced. It was very successful and very well attended. I was really, really proud of it. And then with X, it was something really experimental, a sci-fi play that takes place on Pluto. And we had a very young team, and we attracted new audiences.
Something came back to see that play 3 and 4 times just to get it sorted out in their brain.
Absolutely. Those are the two main things that come to mind, but we had a lot of successful readings. I was really proud of Tracy Korea's project, Exit Pursued by a Bear. It was big, it was grand, and it was really, really well received. And those are some of the highlights that come to mind. What about you?
Well, I think the audience that we brought in for Pipeline had
Pipeline was gorgeous.
It had a real impact just on me to see that audience react to that play the way they did, and I thought the execution of that story was really strong.
Yeah, and we hired 2 up-and-coming actors for that project, Q and Jasmine, and they were gorgeous in that production. And we're working with them outside of the theater, helping them with training, and I can't wait to see them on stage again. And Sabrina Cofield was sublime as Naya, and I was so proud of Jason as the director on that project. Just a lot of really great things happening.
Yeah, and then we closed off the season with the Pavilion, when we sort of went back to our minimalist roots. And in the past, with the readings now, we've gotten a little bit bigger, and sets have gotten a little bit bigger, and props have gotten a little bit bigger. The Pavilion we did with a chair.
One chair instead of 2 benches, which is what the playwright calls for. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And Pavilion is it's a beautiful play, and we had an opportunity to talk directly to the playwright, which is not something we always get to participate in, and that was really illuminating during the project. And also we worked with 3 lovely creatives, and we just had a wonderful time creating that project. And I don't want to forget about Lifespan of a Fact, too. That was our opening stage reading. Gigi did a wonderful job on that, and it was also produced by Majestic. So it was nice to have 2 theater companies taking a really smart play and providing their twist on it.
And I saw their production too, and although we shared obviously the same script, the approach was slightly different for each
Slightly.
play.
Ours was on a really big stage, and theirs was like in a postage stamp.
Very small house that Majestic now has in the back of their theater.
But very effective.
Really intimate.
Yeah.
Another brilliant cast over there as well. But finally for us too, I don't want to forget, Dancing at Lunasa, which I think boasted one of the best ensemble casts we've ever had.
Oh, and that will go down for me personally. I was really proud as the movement specialist on the dance that actually erupts from those females in the production. And I had a wonderful time working with that cast.
That was a really moving moment in that show. I watched it every night.
Yes.
And looked forward to that moment every night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the past. Let's look to the future.
Let's look to the future.
2024, 2025, which just seems like a ridiculous number. 2025. I mean, we have audience.
11 years.
11 years.
You know, I went on the internet and I looked up the number 11. I was like, not that I don't know if I buy into all of that, but it's like supposed to be like an angelic number.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an inspirational number. And
I might have to leave then.
Why? Because you're not an angel?
Some people try to call me angelic. I don't believe that. I don't.
Oh, stick around,
No
Brandi.
way. No way.
If you start to sizzle and smoke starts rising up from behind your ears, we'll
If I
we'll
grow a halo, you should probably fire me.
Does oh yes, we mentioned Brandi early on.
We did.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that Brandi's
Yes,
here.
okay.
We're gonna let's just jump in. Right?
All right.
We're starting off the season this year. Our first stage reading is a play called Native Gardens by Karen Zacharias. It's being directed by Gigi Guisado, back at the Las Vegas Library, September 27th at 7 and September 28th at 2. Emery, you want to talk a little bit about why you chose that play? You know what? Let me.
I do. I have some.
Okay, well,
some thoughts on that.
Hold that thought. What I should have done first is I just sort
but
of
you didn't.
Summarized it a little bit.
Go for it.
It's a comedy, kind of drama, kind of, which I'm going to say a lot. I think about a lot of the plays this season. They have very funny elements. But Native Gardens is about a family, a young Hispanic couple that moves next door to an established old Republican household, and they share a backyard fence, and there becomes a property dispute, and the new and the old clash a little bit. It's really funny. It doesn't handle, I think, the subject matter the way you think it's going to. I think it's not obvious. I think it's not cliche. I think Karen Zacharias does a remarkable job of creating really whole characters that aren't stereotypes at all. The description I gave makes them sound a little bit stereotypical, but I think she creates characters that aren't very stereotypical, and it's just charming, and it's not an angry play. It sounds like it could that material could be handled in a very angry way. It's not. It's funny. It's got a lot of drama, a lot of personal dynamics to it. You want to talk about why you selected it and put it in the season?
Yeah, I was looking for something for Gigi to work on. So we actually read a lot of Latina plays at the house. And what was important, and I'm going to put words in Gigi's mouth, is that we do a play about her culture where Latinas are not poor and in need. Like the couple that lives next door to these Republicans, he's a lawyer. I think she's working on her PhD. These are sophisticated people. And so we wanted some nice representation in terms of her culture. Also, like the play is funny. And you might think that story, Democratic Latina couple with white Republican neighbors is a tired story. But what I think is beautiful about this play, and what might happen in our future politically, who's to say, is we get some resolution, and we don't feel resolution. There's a big divide amongst people today. People are very suspicious of the other side, of other. And what this playwright has done is she's broken down those barriers. She found a way to do it and have people really look at themselves and really figure out what's important versus what the thought machine is, and we're going to hold on to our thoughts and our beliefs and double down on them, and therefore it will separate us. And so that was one of the reasons why I got behind this play.
You make it sound like it's a pretty political play.
It is. It isn't.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. But all plays are political. Just to present a counter argument. And when you examine the psychology of these particular characters, right, it's about people who have a political mindset, who are living next door to each other, who figure out how to work it out. Is that the most predominant thing in their life? It has affected the way they think, yeah. They don't talk about who they're voting for, but it has affected their thought process.
Well, and we've used the term Republicans. I don't know that Republicans is mentioned in the play. I don't think that the couple, it's an older white couple, so some assumptions are made. But I think
you're right.
I think it's unfair to call them Republicans. It's my fault, because I don't think that's actually part of the play. I think politics are not inherent to the play. What Zacharias has done is made a metaphor.
See, I even did it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I made an assumption.
You make an assumption.
That's right.
And that's part of what I think what the playwright has done is
well done. Yes.
Yeah. She makes a metaphor about newcomers and new arrivals and the other who are coming into an established situation, into an established neighborhood, an established lifestyle, and the threat that often is inherent in that people who are established and have been around for a while sometimes feel.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That's a good catch, and I get totally behind that. Right?
Yeah. So did I get the dates right, Brandi? September 27th at 7, September 28th at 2.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. Well, that's why you're here. You get your calendar up, for crying out loud. Let's not all trust me. The first main stage production that we're doing this season, Anne-Marie, you and I are directing. It's called The Minutes. It's by Tracy Letts. We're going to be back over at Super Summer Theater. Brandi, Anne-Marie and I we've been auditioning for the past 2 weeks with this play. We're pretty deep into it. Why don't you summarize it so that we can get out of our heads a little bit?
The Minutes is a small town, every town kind of American council meeting, and you're watching it in real time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of implied themes, but what you're going to watch is how government both does and does not work for the people. So, and why some of the things that make it not work in our perceptions are actually necessary in order to make it work. And like the prevailing rules, it's either Richard or Robert. Joe, you're going to know. Whose rules are they? The government.
Robert's Rules of Order,
right? That most of those of us that know Robert's Rules of Order, we kind of roll our eyes at that.
Yeah.
How tiresome is that? That it just bogs down on how does anything get done when you have to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
And it is part of what makes our government not work for us. And this is also a demonstration of why it's necessary in order for our governments to be anywhere near efficient.
So a play about a bureaucratic political meeting.
Yes.
That sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible.
Is it funny, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, it is funny. It's a satire about all the political archetypes that we see in our government.
Well, it's Tracy Letts, so it's
yes,
going to be...
and he's wonderful at comedy, but, we see those particular archetypes, right? And we see that mostly... because most of us don't, turn on the TV and watch council meetings. We see that in large government, but not in small government. So what he's done is he's taken those ideas in small government to make it more, I think, more relatable.
We don't watch those meetings
because they're boring.
Well, until those.
It affects us personally.
No, until we have those 3-minute clips of the crazy guy standing in front of the council going off on, sewage in his neighborhood or ridiculous laws or his neighbor smoking or whatever.
There's a whole group of people who actually go to council meetings and just stir up problems who really don't have any problems at all. And what Tracy Letts did was he watched hundreds of those meetings in order to gather inspiration for the particular production that he created and starred in.
What's the buzz going to be like for this one?
For me, it's about secrets.
Yeah.
Because you think it's about the minutia of
small town government.
Small town, but it's not. It's about the secrets that we keep and the lies that we tell ourselves in order to maintain status quo. And, we all want to be comfortable. We all want to, have our coffee in the morning. We want to sleep in these nice, luxurious beds and, hold on to those things. And sometimes we do that to the detriment of other people. And he does a wonderful job at bringing that to life. And so I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's about those types of secrets that affect our own comfort.
Yeah, see, for me, it's about tribalism. It's about the natural inclination for like types to band together and give themselves power over others in order to maintain their tribe, to maintain their own status quo.
Well, yeah, I mean, tribalism, just like if we're going to talk about that, is people want to be part of something. So, for instance, if you're an outsider coming into a neighborhood community, you want to be part of that unit, part of that community. And so in order to do that, you have to adapt. And if you have different rituals or customs in your life, sometimes you have to put aside those rituals and even change the way you think in order to be a part of that tribe.
Right.
And we see people doing that all the time in our society, and sometimes to the detriment of themselves and other people.
Yeah. And you said this is a satire. Is it funny? This is a funny play.
I think it's funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
It is fall out of your chair funny.
It's just because all the characters are so damn shameless. And I think as an actor, it's fun to get up on stage and play shameless characters like that. Like, they're just bombastic.
And the way it's written, too, it's going to sound like a strange thing to say, but the poetry of the language, and this isn't, I'm going to steal this. This is not my original thought, but someone talked about the way the language flows like jazz, almost, that the rhythms of the language are similar to a jazz session of people just inflicting their own rhythms and plosives and language into situations that it feels like a jazz ensemble getting together. And you look at the dialogue and it does feel that way.
Well, most plays don't have 10 people on stage the whole time. There's 11 characters and one character is revealed at the end. Usually plays are structured like you have a two-handed scene or a three-handed scene, two-person, three-person scene. But everybody's on stage for most of the time in this ensemble piece. And so you have to make sure that you have individual instruments, right, representing those characters in order to make that jazz.
So, and this might be one that people come back to see multiple times again, because when you watch it the first time, your natural instinct is going to be to look to the person speaking. And because there's so many other people on stage, you might want to come back again later that weekend or next weekend to watch all of the people that weren't speaking.
Right. Yeah. It's a pretty good ensemble too. I'm proud of this cast. I'm looking forward to getting to work. What are the dates on that one, Brandini?
That one opens on October 25th and runs through November 18. You can see it before you vote.
That's right. It is it is a play about politics during the political season. Hopefully it'll take some of the edge off.
And the play takes place on November 1st.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yep, November 1st.
Our next reading, Silent Sky, our returning champion Lauren Gunderson. This is what, 3 plays of hers we've done? 4? 1, 2, 3. This is 4.
Yeah, we've done a number of her works.
Yeah, and if you love Lauren Gunderson, you're going to love this play, Silent Sky. Brandy, you want to give a quick description of this one?
On the page, this is about a real young woman, a historical figure named Henrietta Leavitt, who was an astronomer at the turn of the 20th century. And the work that she contributed at Harvard in the mapping of our universe.
Right, and this all took place before women even had the right to vote. The respective
Much of it did, yes.
Yeah, the respective women in the workplace
Most of it did.
was much less
So,
than it
but
is now.
more interestingly, it's about her relationship with her family, her sister specifically, her co-workers, and how that affects how she feels about her work and the discoveries that are being made and things that they are learning about where we are, who we are, why we are in
Science!
in science and the universe.
What really moves me about this particular play is the historical information that I actually found out about Henrietta Leavitt is she was not an attention seeker, but she was very passionate about her work, and that comes across in the play. She was interested in the universe, and the prevailing thought at the time was that our universe was just our galaxy, and she had the imagination to think that there were other galaxies, and that's obviously the predominant thinking now. She believed that even though everybody in her culture was saying much differently. And so that takes a lot of imagination and faith and hard work and determination to do that. And she was hard of hearing, deaf, and they wanted to give her the Nobel Prize, but she had died 3 years earlier. She was not a flashy woman. What she wanted to do was map out the sky, and she was using mathematics in order to do that. And that was the sole focus of her life. She really is a remarkable, a beautiful person that I would have loved to have met because of her determination.
Well, and because it's Lauren Gunderson, I'm going to assume that the dialogue is crisp and witty and funny and clever and quick. Is that a apt assumption?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Henrietta is quick on her feet. She's witty, and she's not pushed around by the men in her life.
I would agree. And there is the works that we've at least the works that we've put on our stages that weren't special projects for us from Lauren Gunderson today have been modern works.
Yeah.
And this is a historic work, and you do, while the dialogue stays fun and at pace and witty, it is still of a period. And you feel that wonderful marriage of modern wit, but she was a woman of her time as well.
And this is being directed
both
by
of her time and out of her time.
This is being directed by Tracy Correa, who's quickly become our Lauren Gunderson expert. She did Exit Pursued by a Bear by Lauren last season. Did you do that on purpose, Emery? Hire her for another Gunderson project?
Well, Tracy's a choreographer. She's really good at movement, and she's good with her actors. And while Exit Pursued by a Bear, had a pretty complete set and full props, Tracy and I talked about the simplicity of this project. Much like, even though the universe is very grand, right? Just the simplicity of looking out into the universe and absorbing the idea of a single star or many stars. I feel like the characters themselves orbit around each other in that particular way, and it can be quite simple and elegant and nuanced without needing very much because of the way Lauren Gunderson has written it.
Brandi, when do we get to go over to the library to see Silent Sky by Lauren Gunderson?
You can see that on January 31st at 7 p.m. or on February 1st at 2 p.m.
We're back over at Super Summer for our second fully realized production, A Case for the Existence of God by Samuel D. Hunter. That's going to be directed by Jake Staley. This is the same playwright who wrote The Whale, and The Whale's gotten a lot of press last year because of the Academy Award going to Brendan Fraser for his portrayal of that character in the movie version of the play. A Case for the Existence of God is a completely different type of play. Brandi, can you give us a synopsis of A Case for the Existence of God?
When you read the script, you're left wondering how it's going to happen. but this is a two-hander or a two-person play.
2 actors, yeah.
We have 2 actors on stage.
And not playing like a bunch of different characters
No,
either.
they play the same
2 actors
character.
as the same. In the
2
past we've
actors,
done,
they each play one character.
Yeah.
They are the same character throughout the entire play. The play happens over the course of technically years, but the majority of what we see is weeks or maybe a couple months, few months. And they never leave their chair, according to the playwright.
Yeah, that's indicated in the...
Things change around them. And it is, as far as what's going on in the play and where the title might come from, is that it's about the relationship between these 2 men, a friendship that grows, overcoming past assumptions about people, and how friendship both grows and betrayals affect friendships, or how you can overcome those kinds of things, and where you find similarities in people that you didn't think you were going to find similarities with. And
Okay, but specifically, it is about 2 men, who one is looking for a home loan, and he is in the office of a mortgage broker,
Yes.
trying to get him this home loan. And the way they talk about acquiring this home loan leads to revelations about why that particular house is so important, why what family situation has brought him into this office. And then, as Brandi suggests, over the course of months, these 2 men do form a friendship over this business loan. It veers and hems and haws and goes back and forth, and really I think that it does keep you on the edge. You mentioned seats, chairs. They're sitting in a cubicle for the majority of the play, and the playwright is specific about that. They don't stand up until
very nearly
the end. Why is that, Emery? What do you think the playwright's doing there? I'm sure we'll talk about this when we get to the behind the buzz for this specific show.
I'm not quite sure exactly. I think that's something that Jake has to work out. But for me, I like the interesting challenge of the limitation of that. As a director, if I was working on that, I would enjoy figuring out how to make all those weight shifts in a chair interesting. But what is interesting to me about the play, and what I felt when I read it, was I was in a complete state of panic and fear when I was reading it.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so afraid for the 2 characters who are both fathers and the impending loss that they might experience. And that play talks about surviving that and how to survive that. And I think that's and how, without giving away the ending, which I won't, how we just never know how things are going to work out, even though something really horrible might happen. And that's where I think the title comes from, A Case for the Existence of God. We go through these horrible experiences, and then something sublime happens in the near or distant future. And so it makes for a very interesting metaphysical discussion. And that's what I found to be interesting about the play.
I really like, too, that it is a play about something that we don't see so often in modern theater, which is just a friendship between 2 men. Mm-hmm. And it's a very intimate, it becomes a very intimate friendship. And that's not something that's always treated with, any sort of seriousness in the modern theater.
You see 2 men, and whether it's a film or a play, it's a buddy story.
Yeah.
Right there, it's 2 friends who happen to be men, and they're on an adventure of some kind. This is not a buddy comedy. This is not a buddy adventure. This is how they come to know and appreciate and platonically love one another, and where that takes their life. And one of the things that I think might be why, or one of the reasons I think they might be sitting the entire time.
Yeah.
At least for me on the page, it's about how even when you don't change, you change. even when they're physically not allowed to move. So they're physically not making any changes except maybe a possible weight shift or something like that. So they are literally in place and not moving. But look at how they still change. Look at how things change around them. So change is inevitable,
An
even if you're not moving.
An interesting metaphor for that play. I hope
So
Jake is paying attention.
Yeah, we'll see if that's where Jake takes it.
We'll send him the podcast.
When can we see A Case for the Existence of God?
It
Brandi?
opens at Super Summer Theater Studios. It opens February 7th and plays through March 3rd.
That's 4 weeks, yeah?
Yes.
4 weeks.
4
there.
weekends.
We're back at the library again with a Lucy Kirkwood play, NSFW, directed by Nicole Unger. NSFW is the acronym for Not Suitable for Work, or some people say Not Safe for Work. This is I think this is a bit of a risky play.
This
Brandi,
play is hard to describe because it's got a lot of layers and it's so well written that it's a toughie.
Lucy Kirkwood is fast becoming my favorite
Me too.
playwright. One of
I
my
love
favorite
her.
playwrights.
I love
Her ability with dialogue is without parallel. I just think the way that she uses dialogue to create characters and tension and drama.
Lucy, are you out there? Can you hear us?
She is just absolutely remarkable. We're big fans of a lot of her plays, and we have in the pipeline, hopefully, coming down in seasons to come, other plays of hers that we want to do. But NSFW, I think is going to be. I'm a little nervous about it, I have to say. I feel like there's a bit of a risk there. Brandi, why would I be nervous about this play?
Because it's not suitable for work,
Yeah,
Joe.
it really isn't.
It's in a sense, it's kind of two short, similar stories that are tied together. The first part of the play takes place in one workplace.
In a publishing.
Yeah. At a magazine
publishing house,
office, and something not suitable for work happens.
Yeah.
And how it affects that office and those employees. And then we move to another publishing house 9 months later, 8 or 9 months later. We see a couple of those same employees again. One is looking for a new job.
And one is sort of redefining himself.
And one has kind of redefined himself. And this other magazine, which is in many, many ways the antithesis of the first, something is also happening that is not suitable for work.
And so, aside from the amazing Lucy Kirkwood dialogue, Anne-Marie, what was it about this show that appealed to you enough to put it into the season?
Well, this show is not a show I could direct.
Right.
And the reason why we chose Nicole is she's just whip smart, and she has a photographic memory, and she's a wonderful actress, and she's also of a generation. She's in, is she Gen Z?
I don't know. I think she's Gen Z. She's 30 something.
She's in her 30s.
She's a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's a millennial.
Yeah.
So it's about, these edgy type of characters, these messy characters, these complicated characters, and it's very predatorial.
Who is Nicole? People in our season, or people who've seen our last season.
Oh, Nicole Unger was in Indecent, and she played the young ingenue, and she was also in X, and she played the Maddie character. Wonderful, wonderful, talented actress who I am in debt for. Both Brandi and I. She was, when we were both in grad school, she was in our
We've been working with her for 15 years on and off.
Yeah, she was in our first production, and she is a wonderful, talented, smart, inspiring, good soul. But these characters are really complicated and messy, and it's what I think is interesting is the complexity of how difficult it is to be in print journalism, which is now,
dying.
It's dying. This play was written in 2009, and how people in that industry have become so manipulative and predatory-like in order to hold on to their positions. And I think we see a lot of this workplace aggression in many institutions. So that's interesting to me. Also, just the treatment of women. And
the commodification of
and how
the feminine.
How men look at women as an opportunity, and how women look at other women as an opportunity in order to survive, in order to step on, to get what they want. And that's really ugly, and she maps out that story really well.
And it's, aside from all that, I'm going to say this. It's funny. It's a funny play.
Oh, it is funny.
Is this the first time? This isn't Nicole's first time directing? Is it first time directing for us? Has she been?
No, she's directed other projects. But the reason why I wanted to give her a project is, when you're an actor, you're on the threshold of, you're receiving direction all the time, and you're having to implement the ideas of other people. But when she was in the rehearsal room, she would often teeter on the side of the actor and the side of the director, offering a lot of wonderful ideas and insight about certain productions or plays that we were working on, things that I never thought of. And I was like, wow, this is a really intellectual and smart woman. I really can see her having a career as a director.
I'm looking forward to it. Brandi, when can we see NSFW?
You can see that on March 28th at 7 p.m. or you can see it on March 29th at 2 p.m.
And that's a reading. We're back at the library.
Yes.
For that one, we're going to have our last main stage show, and it really is a main stage. We use the phrase main stage, I think, a bit ironically at Super Summer. It's a small black box, but this is really a main stage show. References to Salvador Dali, Make Me Hot by Jose Rivera. And I say it's a main stage show because this is a new venue for us, Anne-Marie. We're going to be over at the Charleston Heights Art Center on a big proscenium main stage.
And I don't know how many seats the Charleston Heights, like 500 or 400?
I think it's around $399. I think it's right around there, yeah.
Okay, $399. Well, I mean, you and I can say this is where we got our start. I mean, the first play I ever did was Gypsy, and I played Baby Louise on this stage. And so I know like the ins and out of every corner in that building. So it feels like a coming home to me.
Yeah, it's I'm even older than you. I actually was involved in the first play that was ever done at that. It was the Charleston Heights Library back in the day, and the very first play that was done there was an original play by Brian Krall called The Golden Horse, The Silver Knight. And it was the first play that was done on that stage when they built it back in the 70s, or 80, right around there. It will feel like coming home again. Is it too big a venue for us? It's certainly not too big a venue for this play. This play has a vastness to it and a breadth and a scope that I think will be able to fill that space.
I mean, yeah, I'm not the director on it. I'm probably going to do the movement. Gigi and I have talked about that. But even in the title, references to Salvador Dali Make Me Hot, there's allusions of surrealism embedded in the scenery. So there's a grandness in terms of that backdrop that she probably will want to take advantage of. And also, there's a lot of magical realism in this particular production. You have a husband and a wife, a man coming home from the war. He's suffering from PTSD, and his wife is, she misses him, and she's
been left alone for some time.
And she wants to be with her man emotionally and sexually, and she's very interested in the neighbor, a young neighbor boy. And just to mirror that relationship is a relationship between a cat, an actress will be playing the cat. Maybe, I don't know if she's going to gender bend this or not. And another actor or actress will be playing the coyote.
You don't say actress anymore. They're all actors. You're saying an actor playing the cat, an actor playing the coyote.
Yes, I know. Well, I was just trying to make the distinction because she hasn't cast it yet. And then there's also a character that plays the moon that plays the violin.
The moon.
Yes.
Plays the moon.
So, yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity for artistry and how you express movement and theatrical device. And I'm excited for Gigi to get her hands on this.
It's a different kind of play for us, too.
It feels very Shakespearean to me. Like when we were in the auditions and the actors were coming in, there's all this verse and poetry, and the way you handle that language is much different than the way you handle modern day contemporary language.
Yeah, if you look at it on the page, it's written in verse. If you look at it on the page, to me it feels more operatic. I can see why you would say Shakespeare. For me, it just feels like a bigger operatic sort of feel. Brandi, what do you want to tell us about the play? What's your take on references to Salvador Dali? Make Me Hot.
I think Anne Marie she did a good job, because it's a married couple who, when he comes home from having been stationed away in a combat zone, they're two new people. So you have a married couple who no longer are the people that instigated this relationship. Right. So they, in a very surreal and theatrical and magical way, have to come to terms, or attempt to come to terms with what this relationship means to them and where they're going to take it.
How did our relationship with Charleston Heights come about, Anne-Marie? Charleston Heights Arts Center is run by the city of Las Vegas. Rainbow Company is housed over there, as are a number of arts organizations, and they're putting us in that space for, is it 3 weekends, 4 weekends?
3 weekends.
3 weekends.
We run April 4th through 22nd.
Yeah.
So it's not a full 4-week run,
Right.
but we will have an equitable number of performances available, so we'll have some performances on non-traditional days for us, like on Thursdays or potentially Tuesdays.
Right.
So we'll still have the same number of opportunities to see the show, but just in a shorter amount of time.
How did that come about, Anne-Marie?
Well, unfortunately, we are without a permanent space. We have a wonderful partnership with the Clark County Las Vegas Library District. That's where we do our 4-stage readings. But for the last 3 years, we have been nomadic. So we have a nice partnership with Super Summer Theater. But I've been talking to our politicians, Olivia Diaz, Maggie Plaster, who is in charge of the city management in terms of the arts, and I've gone to them and I have said, we need supports. The theater companies in town, we need help. And so Maggie was gracious enough to provide us with rehearsal space last year for Exit, Pursued by a Bear. And we talked about this being a potential partnership, a co-pro. And so when we didn't have a place for the spring, her and I talked about going into Charleston Heights, and so I'm very grateful. And I'm excited to be back home. I'm excited to go up into that light booth.
It's gonna feel like going back home a little bit.
I'm very excited.
That's if I let you into the booth. It's gonna be my territory.
Oh, I'm going up there. Memories like the
Will you
corners
run a
of
board
my
for
mind.
me?
That board. Well, let's not talk about that.
I don't think that board is there anymore. They have to have upgraded since we were there.
Slightly.
We were there as 12-year-olds. I mean,
Slightly.
Well, when you were there, you were still using candles, right, Joe?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone shined candles and handheld.
Candles and mirrors.
That's exactly right. The lime, the burning lime on the
The limelight.
downstage limelight. Exactly right. If you go to our website, though, you can't buy tickets for this one just yet. Why is that, Randy?
That is correct. Because this is a cooperative production with the city. City will be handling the tickets for us, so they have to get that set up on their end. So as soon as they are up and running and ready, then you'll be able to go to our website, and we will provide the necessary link for you to go to the city's website to purchase tickets.
Right, so be patient.
So
if you go to the
it'll-
website, and you're looking to buy tickets for references to Salvador Dali, Make Me Hot.
You're gonna pay the same price that you would pay for any of our other main stage shows. So
Yeah,
nobody
that
has to
hasn't
worry about
changed.
that. That
Right.
won't change. You'll just have to click one extra link in order to do it.
And just remind me of the dates.
We open on April 4th and we close on April 22nd.
And as you've mentioned, there will be some non-traditional performance dates.
'Cause we usually
Tuesday,
are
maybe
Friday.
a Thursday, maybe a Tuesday. Who knows?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So there'll be some extra weekday performances.
I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
We close off the season back at the library, our final stage reading of 2025, The Cold Buffet by Elijah Young. It's being directed by Andrew Calvert. He's done a reading for us in the past, but it's been a few years.
Oh, yeah.
But he really wanted to he brought this script to us and kind of brought the playwright to us. Brandi, tell us what the play's about first.
The Cold Buffet, for any non-Brits listening, I guess, please don't, crucify me if I'm wrong here, because I am not British. But my understanding is the Cold Buffet is a pretty traditional British thing when important events happen, whether this is a birth, a christening, it could be a marriage or a birthday, it could be a funeral, but a family event of some sort is happening, and British families and communities congregate at a local community space of some kind.
Yeah.
And often in one of the rooms off to the side, there is a cold buffet for your
dining pleasure. Yeah.
For your dining pleasure, you need a cucumber sandwich or a little smoked weenie or something like that, I guess. Maybe a glass of fruit punch. But the Cold Buffet. So this play is about a family, a British family, and we see them at various important events.
It's a 3-act play, so each act represents an event.
Yes.
So it's 3 separate important events over the course of their lives, and we see the family dynamic play out over that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you know, Emery, we said yes to this play. Do you have any insight as to why Andrew felt like it was something that we needed to do?
Well, I think he saw a production of it when he was back home in London.
Andrew is a Brit.
Yes, and he really enjoyed it. And he started up a conversation with the playwright. And that's what's... I think the play has a lot of humor in it.
Oh, it's hysterical. It's so funny. Those first 2 acts just
hysterical. But what was really of interest to me is having a working relationship with the playwright, having access to the playwright, and talking about the outcome of the play, because I think the play is still a bit of a work in progress.
Yeah, it's really new. Really new.
And so there might be a little bit of dialogue back and forth between the director and the actors, and maybe even us with the playwright.
Well, I think that started already. I think Andrew's already in correspondence with Elijah.
Yes, but once the process gets started, that's when you'll really see that work start to happen, and that is really exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting, and I don't know that we're going to completely rewrite and change the play, but I think we have an opportunity here to impact its future publication and just the future work in a way that might be helpful to the playwright into future productions.
Absolutely. I hope we can help. I hope we help and not hurt.
Remind everybody who Andrew is. We haven't seen him for a season or so.
Andrew Calvert started off, his first production was Jason Posner in Wit, and then he went on to do The Glass Menagerie, where he played the gentleman caller. And then from there, I believe he did Things I Know to Be True, and he played
he was an Elephant Man.
Oh, yeah, he was Elephant Man.
Treves in Elephant Man.
Yeah, he played Treves, yes.
And then Things I Know to Be True.
Then Things I Know to Be True. Mm-hmm. He played one of the siblings, and then he went on to play Walker and I can't remember his second act character in 3 Days of Rain. Ned, that's right. And so he took a year off. And now
he's back with a vengeance.
He's back with a vengeance. He's Mr. Peel in The Minutes.
We're going to see him in The Minutes, and he'll be directing this.
Both acting and directing.
Start off our season and finish off our season.
It'll be very exciting.
Is he excited about the play? You've talked with him a little bit about it.
I think he's excited, but you know how it is when you're directing. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of worry. And good work. Worry is not necessarily a bad thing, but it encourages people to work hard and to get rid of that worry.
So I'm looking at the plays. I've got them all.
Oh, do you want the dates?
Oh yeah, give me the dates of the Cold Buffet.
The Cold Buffet will close our season on June 27th and June 28th.
June 27th at 7, 28th at 2. Yeah.
At 2.
Yeah. I'm looking at this list here. Native Gardens, very funny. The Minutes, very funny. Silent Sky, Lauren Gunderson, witty, very funny. A Case for the Existence of God, full of humor. NSFW, edgy, dangerous sort of humor. References to Salvador Dali make me hot, magical realism, and still imbued with a certain amount of humor. And the Cold Buffet is just hysterical. Have we taken a turn in our direction as a company, and we're just doing frizzy comedies now? Is The Odd Couple not far behind in next season?
No, but we were very conscious about the plays that we selected this year, because we have a tendency to be attracted to the darker, more serious, more psychological plays. So we really tried to find plays that had both humor and drama.
Well, let's go down the list again. Native Gardens, dark psychological stuff going on there. The Minute's certainly dark psychological. Silent Sky, well, I don't know how dark and psychological Silent Sky is. Case for the Existence of God. It's right there in the title. That's dark and psychological. NSFW, certainly dark. And it seems like we've got the best of both worlds in all of these shows. Is this just the best chosen
Maybe
season
we only
ever?
think it's funny.
That's true.
So hopefully the audience,
I
we
hope
better
so.
craft some good plays so they think it's funny.
No, I hope so. It's. Are you proud of the season?
I am. Every year, I feel like the company works harder and harder to really craft and curate a season. We spend lots of time at this table reading lots of plays and discussing it with our peers, and I'm very proud of that process.
And we spend a lot of time talking about not just whether or not it's a good play, which is a pretty generic, topic, but we talk about what the play has to offer our audience, and what we'll talk about following the play, what the buzz for each of the plays might be.
Well, instead of saying good play, we should say timely play.
Right.
Right. Is it timely for what's happening in the world, in our community here in Las Vegas? And we have a particular culture here.
Well, and we want it to be useful to Vegas too, as if we a play about a remote Russian community might be a very good and moving play, but if it's not saying anything that is useful or helpful or pertinent to people who are living here in Vegas, then it might not be worth producing, unless something in Vegas says we need to learn more about remote Russian villages. So, do we need to learn more about remote Russian villages, Joe?
I don't know. I have to find those plays, because I don't know what those plays you're speaking about are. I mean, they've got to be out there.
I haven't found one yet.
Well, you've been threatening to do Oklahoma for years now.
I know. I love Chekhov, but I'm not ready to bring it to Las Vegas.
We're not ready for that obscure Russian play yet. Well, that seems like enough. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot more to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get to a lot of it when Behind the Buzz returns this season with an episode focused on each and every one of the plays that we've just talked about today. We will be chatting with directors and actors, and I think even a playwright, maybe two. I don't know. There's rumors. We hope you're as excited for the new season as we are. Thanks to Brandi Blackman for adding her voice to the conversation. And as always, like, subscribe, give us all the updates, email at us at behindthebuzz@publicfit.org. You know the drill. For more information, specific show dates and times, or to purchase tickets, visit us online at publicfit.org. Behind the Buzz is a product of the Public Fit Theater Company. It is directed by Anne-Marie Pereth and me, Joe Kucan, and is recorded, mixed, and edited by the cautiously optimistic Diane Walton.